Also, one of your big early successes here in the U.S. was NewsRadio, and I'm a huge NewsRadio fan. One of my favorite shows of all time.
Me too.
So I was just curious, what that show meant for you, and what that experience was like for you.
Oh, it was fantastic. I mean, it was like a whole new life for me. I moved to L.A. and suddenly with this amazing cast and this great writing staff, and I was working, especially when we started out, I was working with Jimmy Burrows, who's one of the greatest TV directors of all time.
Mm-hmm.
It was amazing. And I think we all felt like we were old friends from the first time we sat down to do the table read in L.A. Just everybody hit it off, and as a cast, everyone just sort of fell in love with each other immediately.
Right.
And I was, and for me, I was just coming out of a very bad marriage,
mm-hmm.
A long bad marriage, and suddenly I had a job where, I go to work and get to make out with Maura Tierney.
That's not a bad thing.
not a bad way to, earn a living at all.
Right. And while I'm singing your praises, I have to ask you, this is something I've wanted to ask you for a long time. Why is The Wrong Guy one of the most criminally underrated movies of all time?
Well, I guess we said, for that we owe Disney.
Yeah, really?
We made it with Disney was going to be our U.S. distributor,
mm-hmm.
and through Hollywood Pictures, but in the middle of production, they folded Hollywood Pictures, so we suddenly didn't have an entity that was supposed to be distributing it. And so it was put on the shelves at Disney for 5 years and never released never got a theatrical release, never even got a DVD or a TV release for over 5 years.
Right.
But it's definitely something I'm incredibly proud of. My writing partners, Jake Hogan and Dave Higgins, and I, we set out to just write, our version of, an early Steve Martin movie or
mm-hmm.
Woody Allen. We wanted to write a really funny, silly movie.
Right.
And I think we got to make pretty much exactly the movie that we wanted to make.
Right.
So, and I think it's very funny.
It is.
Every time we show it to people, they like it.
I had the same experience because it's a movie. I'm a huge fan, obviously, of the film, and I've played it for a number of my friends over the years, and everybody who watches it just loves it. And I just, I wanted to. I imagine you don't get asked about it in interviews too much, so I wanted to let you know that you have some diehard fans of The Wrong Guy out there.
Well, thanks. I know it's sort of a cult film amongst comedy people in L.A.
Mm-hmm.
It was even before we made it. It was sort of a cult thing. The script was being bootlegged all over town.
Oh.
Yeah. Writers were all making copies of it and passing it on to each other. So it was like something the whole comedy community was reading before we made it.
Right. Well, it's too bad it didn't get the distribution it deserved, but it's still a great film. So.
Thank you.
So Cooper's Christmas is out now. What else do you have coming up that we can look forward to?
Well, I know right now I'm working on a movie with the director of Cooper's Christmas, Warren Sonoda, here in Toronto, called Servitude, which is about a restaurant where a bunch of waiters the staff all find out they're about to be fired, so they have a night of rebellion where they just don't take any shit from their customers.
Right.
So I'm working on that right now. I forget what else is coming up. I forget what I've done a bunch of stuff lately, and I know I did an episode of one of my favorite TV shows, Eureka.
Mm-hmm.
I did that recently, and I can't think what else. I know there's a bunch of stuff, but I can't think of anything.
Well, I know you're a very busy guy, so I'm sure it's hard to keep track of it all.
Yeah.
All right, well, I'll wrap things up. One last question. What is one thing you'd like the world to know about Dave Foley that they don't already know?
I don't know. I think if they don't know, it's probably something I'm trying to keep hidden from them. I don't know how to answer that question.
I tend to get people on the spot with that one a little bit.
I know. I mean, even now everyone knows what my penis looks like. And I'll just say it. It's glorious. So that's what I'll say. Ladies, I have a glorious penis.
Well, there you go. That is definitely something that's good to get out there.
Line up in an orderly fashion.